All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Path of the Brush here on Gen Con TV. I'm your host, Rick, and we're coming to you live from Hoplite Games in Lansing, Michigan, or in the back room. And we are continuing our path of painting the War Mammoths from Song of Ice and Fire, which is a miniature skirmish game by Simon Games based on the Game of Thrones IP, the more of the novelization than of the actual TV show. Big shout out and welcome also to Mark and Will in the background, who we should just bring up front. There they are. What's up, guys?
How's it
What's
going?
going on?
Good, good. I apologize. My voice is a little raspy. I've been sick the last like 2 weeks, and coming out of that, and my voice kind of got wrecked. So I do apologize for my voice. Um, but it's been an interesting week and a half, since our last episode, right? Or almost 2 weeks now, because today we are going to be actually using finally the uh, War Paint Fanatic paint by the Army Painter. So we got in the Fanatic paint line. We're actually the first store in the United States to have it available for sale in our store. We have the rack out there filled up with all the wonderful paints, and we have the mega set here that we're going to be using today. And I'm going to be starting off just using the regular matte white, which should be an interesting take because I'm going to be using it on the ivory and tusks on this particular model. I've already put a little bit on here and it looks amazing. It's super smooth. I'm really excited for it. How are you guys doing with your mammoth?
Getting there.
Yeah.
Get something to help not have that all saturated. There we go, kind of. think I need better lighting. We're getting there.
Looking
Nice.
good.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, look at that.
Well, I got busy after it doing some highlights on the last one there on the
Yeah, you
leather,
did.
and ended up doing a little glossier leather, doing some of the purples there, and then went from the bone white and added some like light washing and some little bit of yellowing onto the tusk, so it looks like it's
Nice.
a little weathered.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
yeah,
I
so I
will
think
say
I'm gonna do.
this.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, as I'm using this new Fanatic paint, it is so smooth, man. It's like butter. You guys are gonna love it when you
Mhm.
get some.
Yes, I heard it was formulated differently. That's
Yeah,
part of what makes it cool.
from what I understand, is it has significantly more pigmentation of the color, so it gives you a more of a true color of what you're actually trying to paint. Um, so this white is very white, and it's going on here just beautifully. So, yeah, good stuff.
Nice. I also have a little treat from our brush sponsor of Game and Though.
Mm,
Halonex brushes here, these nylon synthetic brushes. So I don't know if you can, I'll pull one out here. I'm going to go,
nice,
their 5/0, their finest one. I'm going to try to get some detail on a couple of these short curlies before we wrap this guy up. On the
nice.
woolly mammoth, that is.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this new paint, and it's really applying and looking really good on that tusk. So we're gonna go ahead and do these other tusks here, and then some of the other bone bits that are on this one. Then we'll move over to the other mammoth here as well.
Is
So
that going to be replacing their main line then?
100% replacing their main acrylic line. Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
And like I said, it's really nice. There are 216 colors in this range, and that's just the base acrylics. That's not counting the washes or the metallics and some of the effects as well.
Okay.
So there's a lot more than 216 in total. But as far as the base acrylic colors, there's 216 colors there, and some of them are super vibrant. Like the set that I have here doesn't have any of the neons. There's a neon bunch, but this is like rainforest here. It's a beautiful green. really vibrant.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm really getting into those neon colors for highlights, and
Mhm.
um, did a D&D troll not too long ago and made them all
Nerd.
swampy. And yeah, the highlights were cool with that. So
Nice.
Hilariously, Jeff hates the fluorescent colors, those neon ones.
naysayer,
our friend
I
Jeff.
saw him stock the rack, and then he bought two.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
we'll
Okay.
see. I thought the same thing, but I bit my tongue, you know.
That's hilarious. I would actually also be using a wet palette, but we sold out of the wet palettes off the rack already since we
Wow.
set it up. Yeah.
are those new? The new kind of wet palette too, or the
Yeah, they
same?
have a new wet palette, and some other new accessories that you can get as well. But
Newer than this one?
which one? Yes, newer than that.
What? Now I feel
Yeah.
like
That's the
slighted.
one that you got at the tournament, right?
Yeah, I did a raffle. I purchased one, and then I got one at the raffle, at the Michigan GT raffle. So buy your
Nice.
raffle tickets, go to charity, good cause. But yeah, these things are great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this looks really good. Making the tusks here really pop.
Do you have to water it down much?
Not really. I am watering it down, but it doesn't require a lot. So, which is great.
I'm excited to learn all the little details.
Well, you're gonna get to play with it, so you're gonna be like, definitely know which ones are gonna definitely land in your toolbox, right? And so far,
Sounds
this
like
white
all-
is absolutely gonna fall into my toolbox. So, which is amazing. So, what have you two been up to since our last episode? We took a break last week because of Gamma. So, you've had a week and a half, almost 2 weeks of hanging out. So, what have you been
Yeah.
working on?
What you been up to, Mark?
Well, I got where are we at over here? I got to wrap up my Age of Sigmar stuff, so we're going to Adepticon right next week, and we're going to
Yep.
be doing the team event with
Nice.
the Cobra Kai Gaming Dojo. So Will and I are part of it,
Nice.
and Jeff you hear about all the time, and our buddy Jacob. So I've got a large project. I basically have all the other ones complete. I have to just add the white onto the armor of these guys, basically,
Okay.
and then throw them
Oh,
on the
looking
new
good.
faces. And so here's one that's actually, for the most part, complete. I think I might have showed you a little bit ago, but
Yeah, I don't remember the headdress being that done.
okay. So yeah, I'm gonna freshen it up a little bit. It got a little darker. I kind of did the cardinal sin of like washing after I airbrushed, which I've learned the hard way. Don't ever do that.
Oh, okay.
So those guys are pretty good, but I still have this big monstrosity to contend with. So
Okay.
I'm gonna hopefully make some quick work, do some airbrushing, and then go in for the details of that. So that's the thing I need to wrap up before Friday of
Mhm.
next week when I leave. So
Okay.
yeah.
Say hi to Sciathius. I hope
Yes.
Sciathius. Thuius. We're gonna totally butcher your name, but
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
thanks for coming, man. Watching.
Yeah.
Or Lete.
I'm wondering if that's Gaelic, and then it'd be Slathus or something.
Ooh, maybe. Tell us the origin of your screen name. Origin, meaning, all that fun stuff.
I'm picking up some of. He says everyone mispronounces his name. I'm picking up some of those tips from Rich that we had a couple weeks back, adding
Yeah.
the yellow to the edges of the leather, and it is
Yeah.
looking pretty nice.
Yeah, Rich is an amazing painter, and he's a great guy too. So it was really great to have him on to paint with us.
Yeah, that was fun just listening and learning,
Yeah.
Yeah, what a wealth of knowledge that guy had. That was really enlightening. And it's always a good time to talk about Feng Shui. I love that game to death.
Yes. Yeah,
In
you
fact,
can't go wrong.
after we chatted about that, I had to watch Hard Boiled. That's
Nice.
like the definitive feng shui movie to me. I had to go watch that. It's aged so well.
Really. You know what my like feng shui themed movie is? That's my go-to after talking about it is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh,
We
Because
know we're all huge fans of that one. That one's just
yeah, and Jack Burton is the everyday hero, right?
absolutely.
Have you played any of the games?
What do you mean? Of what?
That's a Big Trouble Little China games.
I played the deck builder
Huh?
that Upper Deck came out with a few years ago.
Okay.
No, quite a few years ago now. And it's not bad. You know, it's very thematic. You get to interact with all the classic
Yeah.
characters. So and the artwork is really good.
And those are all the Upper Deck ones. Those are based on the
I think it's called
same engine,
Legendary.
right? Yeah,
The
Legendary engine.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yep, I've played the Marvel one just quickly. A guy at my work used to have it.
Okay. Was your guy at work named Will?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. The old work folks. We had a couple of D&D. It was like a creative team in marketing, and we did a bunch of D&D campaigns and things like that, which was fun. And we had a
Right.
cool boardroom, and everybody was pretty hip and creative. So, yeah, it was a fun time. It was one of those, you have a certain team. It can't be like recreated,
Mm-hmm.
1984 Tigers.
Okay.
I'm
So
really not into baseball, but
we here at Hoplite Games, where we're broadcasting from, we actually started a league based on the Song of Ice and Fire game, so that which is part of our like this season of the Path of the Brush, we are painting what we're playing, and so I am part of the league, and I am playing the Free Folk, and War Mammoths are part of the Free Folk, and I ordered. So the first month of the league, whoever comes out with the most points based on how many opponents they played, how many wins they had, how many miniatures they painted, and I think there's a couple other ways to get points. Write a narrative based on your interaction in game. So if like the Starks versus Lannisters, you do a little like battle report narrative on that, and you get points for that. But whoever in the league gets the most points gets the Hand of the King pin. So I ordered that, and it came in today. And so at the end of the month of here in March, someone will win that, and then in the next month of the league, whoever has the pin and is the Hand of the King gets a benefit at the beginning of every game when it comes to choosing who goes first in placement of units, which
that's
is usually based on a die roll. So they forego the die roll, and they can make that decision because they are the Hand of the King, which is kind of neat.
and they get to prance around like a pompous Hand
Yep,
of the King for the
100%.
celebration, right?
Yeah, of course. Why would we not allow them to do that? Don't you know who I am? I'm the Hand of the King, and I live in the Red Keep, and blah 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 blah.
Bragging rights like that just get better if the person with those bragging rights goes all in.
Oh yes, of course. It's so fun. And then later this year, the league and others, we're going to do a Song of Ice and Fire event at the Michigan GT at the end of September. And whoever wins that, we're calling it the King of the North event. And I have a two-handed sword here at the like a claymore here at the store that we're getting engraved to represent the winner of the Hand of or the King of the North tournament.
Oh, that's what that's for?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's not just for our little league either. It is for people, anybody that wants to participate at the event. But obviously, the league players will have a lot of practice in and know what units are going to be rocking and stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. Because who doesn't want a two-handed sword
Yeah, that's awesome.
as
You
a
might have
trophy?
a Hand of the King versus the King in the North too. That
Ooh, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, every time you go to the Renaissance Fest, you always want to pick up a sword until you see the price tag on it. And you're like,
Right?
I mean, they've got the
Yeah.
garbage ones, but the real ones that there's a guy, I think it's out kind of by us, the people that do the Michigan Renaissance Fest, which is in Holly, kind of by
Yeah.
Flint. There's a place out like past Milliken, which is towards Grand Rapids, but it's in the middle of nowhere, and they actually, like,
In Millington?
yeah, I think so.
That's where I went to high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, it's kind of unique.
Yeah, those swords that they bring out. At most of those are, yeah, they're reproduction swords mostly.
Hmm.
And then, but every once in a while, you get that guy or gal who does the real forging, and it's amazing. Recommendations for someone who is doing their first Gen Con this year. Ooh, uh,
Just as
don't overwhelm yourself with like activities as far as like getting into events. Um, do maybe one or two events every day if that's what you're going for, so that you can also experience all that Gen Con is besides going and playing in a certain game or a tournament or whatever. Because there's so many amazing panels, live streams that you can sit in and watch take place, musical stuff going on in the hallways. Of course, the vendor hall, True Dungeon. There's so many things that you can participate in at Gen Con, and know that you will not see it all. Um, Even if it's the best 4 days in gaming, you're not going to see it all. Make sure you drink lots of water, change your socks, all the good
wear
things.
deodorant.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah,
All right.
on Lucas Oil Stadium, like the actual like field, basically, they have open gaming, right? So
Hmm.
library games you can check out, and so you can play test whatever, even if you haven't bought anything, or maybe that's an incentive to play. So a lot of people just go there and play the whole time. Some people do the
Hmm.
different painting seminars, the different sign up for special gaming. I mean, you can get
Yep.
lost for I'd say you can get lost for at least 2 days just walking around the exhibit hall, you know,
Yeah,
which is a
for
giant
sure.
store basically.
Yeah, a pop-up mall of absolute fabulous nerddom.
And usually there's good deals. Like on other, I'd have to say, other cons and things that I've been to, sometimes the price tag is the same or sometimes even more. And like I
Hmm.
felt like on Gen Con, there was some deals happening.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
You
would
can get
get
some
some
really
Kickstarter exclusives from some folks that like either was like a Simon or a who was it like
fantasy play. Any company that's
yeah.
under Asmodee usually has a good discount. Asmodee has a good discount shopping area. Um, you're right. You can get so many great deals there. So yeah, so bring a decent wad of cash for that, and also the whole just the food opportunities. The food trucks are amazing that they bring in, um, and then of course the restaurants that are all around the convention center. There's some amazing restaurants to get some great food. So and make new friends. Don't uh, don't seclude yourself to just your normal friend group. There's a great opportunity to make some new friends that will be friends forever, even if you only see them every year at Gen Con or whatever. So
What else they got? They got the pin. Um,
in exchange.
Yeah, pin exchange. So you can, there's certain areas, there's collectible pins each time, and people nerd out on that. I bought way too many pins that
Nice.
maybe I'll trade up one day.
There you go. Yeah, the pin exchange is pretty cool. Trying to think what else is exciting about Gen Con because I experience Gen Con differently than most people. So, um, as I think Mark kind of witnessed last year.
It was no holds bars. We got a lot of content,
Yeah,
which I'm slowly going to be releasing. So I'm
and
going to do
then
it with a little pre-release.
yeah, so there's a
But
lot that you can do there.
yeah,
Yeah, he says I just got into tabletop this year. I have a Sherpa also. Yes, have a Sherpa. If you can get a Sherpa at the convention, do that because that's freaking awesome. Because you're gonna be carrying around a lot of stuff. So if you have someone else that can do that for you, I usually do. My son usually attends Gen Con with me, so when he does, he's my Sherpa. He's young, strong. He can handle it. That's
Kind of
amazing.
fuzzy.
Yeah, kind of fuzzy. Yeah, with his long hair and emo stylings.
is he wearing the black jeans and the black Converse?
Oh, black everything. Yeah, he's amazing. He's a good kid.
That's what you should be doing at that age, right?
Yeah.
What not to do is wear those giant backpacks. Tell your Sherpa. Because
Yeah.
there's so many people just like traversing
Yeah.
through the aisleways, like bumping into people, and you'd like, I guess it was worse on like the Sunday, is like family day, and there was
Yeah.
more for some reason that day, and yeah, they would just like turn and like knock people down, and it was so if you do have those big bags, be careful, right?
Yeah. Be cognizant of your aware of your surroundings. If you happen to have one of those giant bags from All Play or Enhanced Gaming. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to train myself. I just got a brand new backpack / shoulder bag for carrying my gaming minis. It's like
It's
a
a
mini
European man
fridge.
bag.
What's that?
It's a European man bag.
Yeah.
the satchel.
Yeah, that was a funny joke in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You can't say it.
Maybe early 2000s. It was an Indiana Jones joke, I believe.
Yeah.
My wife said that she's jealous because it's not just a really big bag that you can carry, but it's also full of shelves. So it's a portable shelf rack that's really sturdy. She loves the thing.
Totally Sherpa.
That's your Sherpa.
A satchel, some may say. Absolutely. That's amazing. So I've been inundated lately with on TikTok with a lot of like Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon um, video clips that people have posted up. I've been interacting with them, so I've been getting more of it. And man, I'll tell you, there are some scenes from Game of Thrones that are just so amazing. And every time I see them, I get super amped up. And one of them, one of my favorite scenes in all of the Game of Thrones series when all the Stark kids are now kind of reconverging back into at Winterfell, and Arya wants to practice swordplay with Brienne of Tarth, and of course Brienne of Tarth's like, let me get the you know
Wooden sword.
the keep, the weapons master, the keep of the keep to come do it. And she goes, he didn't beat the hound, you did. And they start practicing, and you start seeing it's like one of the first times you actually see how far Arya has come in her skill set in swordplay. And she puts Brienne on the ropes, and it's like it's for whatever reason I get emotional about it. I get super excited about it because I just that she's my favorite character in the whole series, and watching her become the character she becomes is just such an amazing uh, journey for the character of Arya. And that scene right there really sets a tone for who she is and who she's become. And I really do hope that they do a sequel where they explore her journey at the end, where she goes, "What's west of Westeros?" and she takes the ship out to discover what is west of Westeros. So I hope they do it because I want to see more Arya.
I'm a huge sucker for those episodes where they're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
You know, after like especially so many seasons of the band has been broken up and they finally get the band back together and
Hmm.
like all of a sudden your lead guitarist became Batman while you weren't looking.
Right. So good. I think it's one of the greatest things about the show is, the scenes where the kids, the Stark kids, all, even Jon Snow, they all like have the reunion moments, and it's just like, this is so good. They've been through so many trials and tribulations, and they've survived, and here we are, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Or that moment when Tyrion finds out that he was was it Sansa Stark? He was her best husband, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, oh
Yeah.
that shouldn't be."
But he was a great character, and
Oh yeah,
he was genuinely a good person. You know, that's one of the things I liked about the books, and I've said this before in about Tyrion, is the thing that I missed about his character development in the show versus the books is, in the books you got to explore his inner dialogue, right? So whenever he would talk to another character, you would also get to hear his inner dialogue in regard to that topic, and he almost never, if ever, deviated from what he said, right? If he said it, he meant it. And the first scene that really hits that is when he first meets Jon Snow and calls him the bastard, right? And he sees that it affects Jon Snow in a certain, puts him in his feels, and he basically says, "Don't, you know, accept it, take it on, accept what you are, because if you can do that, then nobody can use it against you." And he's
We're
like,
all
"Well, what do you?"
bastards of something, right?
Right, yeah. When then he goes, "Well, what do you know about it?" And he goes, "All dwarves are bastards in their father's eyes," right? And I was like, in the books, in that same interaction, he's talking you get his inner dialogue, and he's talking about how he has he sees a lot of good and respects Jon Snow, and you know, and then sees what kind of man he's going to become based on the travels up to the wall and everything. And it's like everything Tyrion is and says, his inner dialogue verified it and validated it, and that was one of the cooler things about his character that I enjoyed. And he, I would put him as my number two, and then Braun, the sellsword, was like my number three favorite character.
Oh yeah, he was great.
He
his
was
introduction
amazing.
was incredible in the show.
Hit me with a reminder on that one.
He was he became Tyrion's champion.
That's right. At the Eyrie.
Yes,
Yeah. He's like,
during that.
"Yeah, I'll fight for him."
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, that was great.
Was that their first meeting?
On the road to the Eyrie
Yeah,
is when they first
at
started,
the
like,
tavern, right?
at the tavern after Lady Stark calls him out and arrests him and takes him to the Eyrie. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. And that particular actor actually can sing really well in real life. And he when he's in the tavern singing the what is it, the Reigns of Casterly, or the Reigns of Castamere, or whatever it was. I can't remember how It was the reigns of something, that like the Red Wedding and all that stuff was kind of like keyed in on. And then him and the Hound were kind of like facing off a little bit, like getting ready to like go to work, and then the battle of the Black Waters took
Oh, yeah.
place.
That where he got a scar, right?
Where Tyrion got his scar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the books, his scar is much more pronounced than how they portrayed it in the show. Like he literally gets his nose chopped off.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
really?
Yeah, so he has that like weird nasal opening and big gashing scar across his face. So it's pretty wild. But it's kind of funny. I know you two. Have either of you played the Song of Ice and Fire miniature game?
I have not.
Not yet.
So in the game, they have what's called NCUs. These character units that don't go on the battlefield, but are doing like behind the scenes diplomatic or other form of subterfuge type things to affect the gameplay. And Tyrion is just a great character for that, for House Lannister. And I actually use like this northern or free folk female character who can change everything to like a cavalry unit, regardless of where she's placed on the intrigue board, I guess you could call it. But he does a lot more like subterfuge stuff. Literally can stop certain people from being able to do stuff. Or Tyrion and Cersei. It's kind of a neat aspect.
Like Sansa for Starks. Is that correct? She's sits on that.
Yep. Arya, Sansa. I think I don't recall all of the NCUs that you can use for the Stark faction, but you can use Lady Stark, I think, is one of them as well. So, yeah.
That's a cool mechanic to have, like diplomacy affect the actual game in some way. And that makes it, I can see how they could use that to balance out. Like you wouldn't expect Highgarden to have a lot of power on the field.
Right. But a Highgarden person could do a lot in regards to like maybe regenerate units because they conscripted more units, or they heal the unit because they have all the food.
I fell in love with Highgarden just because of that grandma. Like that, the show was the grandma show for me for a while.
Oh yeah, she was a Bond girl when she was younger.
No kidding.
Yep. Which I thought was a very interesting thing. And her sass was like at power 9,000, man.
Oh yeah.
She gave no F's, as one might say.
She's like Animal from the Muppet Show. You could just watch it just put her on all the time.
Oh yeah.
Her and Animal doing a show together, that'd be amazing. I want to watch that show.
Then the two old guys up in the
Yeah.
Waldorf and Statler.
That's right. Waldorf and Statler.
They kill me.
They're the best.
The Family Guy rendition of that was the best. Where it's like they don't like much of anything,
Yeah.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
No, they do not. The
Waldorf and Statler.
Yes.
Yeah, Waldorf and Statler. Yep.
Okay.
The funny thing about those two characters is they're actually survivors of the Great Cataclysm of 1994. Well, I didn't know if you guys knew that.
No, tell me more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys knew that in 1994, from outer space, a runaway planet collided between the Earth and the Moon, which unleashed cosmic destruction. And man civilization was cast in ruin. And 2,000 years, but 2,000 years later, which is a weird kind of timey-wimey thing. Um, the Earth was reborn. It was a strange new world filled with like sorcery, savagery, and super science, which is kind of interesting to think about because we're absolutely in that space right now. A lot of savagery, a lot of super science, and but one man broke his bonds, to fight for justice, and with his companions Ukla the Mach and Princess Ariel, he pitted his strength and courage and his fabulous son's sword against the forces of evil. And that individual, for those of you that don't know this, is Thundar the Barbarian, who is possibly the most influential character of all time. So, Thundar, there he is, the Barbarian. And I don't know if you all knew this, but you know how koalas can only eat really eucalyptus? Mox, which Ukla the Mach is Canadian and can only eat maple syrup,
That makes
Occasionally
perfect
Canadian
sense.
bacon.
which means I must be partially Mach or a progenitor to Mach because I love maple syrup.
You might be the Mach.
The Mach. Yes.
The Mach Prime.
Because if you were to guess what kind of creature or creature is the basis to what a Mach is, do either of you two know, or anybody watching? Do you know what the basis of the Mach is as far as what kind of creature type?
Definitely not a Wookiee. They couldn't do that.
Definitely not
He's
a
kind of like
Wookiee.
he's like a cougar gorilla. You know, I don't know. It's
You're not far off. He is a feline creature. So yeah, like a cougar gorilla, a cougar bear is a great analogy for what he is, because he is a feline creature. Even though the way you see him, it's just, I don't know. What is this? What is this guy? I don't know.
That was
So
something
yeah,
I always loved about like Han Solo and Chewie was
yeah.
at the heart of it. It was a boy and his dog story.
Oh, you're
And,
right.
and you get kind of the same thing with Thundar and Ukla.
Yeah, where Ukla is the boy because Thundar is
Like
no
that's
offense.
your dog right there.
Thundar is, by all accounts, dumb as a box of rocks. He really is. If you've ever watched the cartoon, you would go, he's the leader because he's an idiot. But he is exactly what one needs to be, where he's just 100% just muscle and courage, right? Because he has no intelligence. Ariel fits the intelligence bill for them, and it's really a story about her anyway. So,
is it a
'cause
precursor to He-Man or is it He-Man bandwagon?
so He-Man was actually based off of Thundar, in regards to the imagery.
Because
It came
originally it
out.
was Conan, right? Like they did Mattel
Yeah,
had all the
Conan would have been in the
Conan.
70s. Yeah.
They had the Conan like IP, and then they started making toys, and the Conan was rated R. So then they had to figure something else out.
Yeah, and they were just like, can we do something similar but in a futuristic setting? And then what's his name? Jack Kirby was the designer who kind of like did the basic art design for Thundar. And then I want to say it was 2 years after Sundar ended, He-Man became the show that kind of like took the reins after that. You know,
Was He-Man like the first cartoon that was really an advertisement vehicle for toys? And they fit that mold, and then like G.I. Joe and Transformers came in right after.
I want to think it was. I think it was He-Man that, yeah, was the progenitor. Well, no, technically, Star Wars
Fair.
was the first one, and from that, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, and the number one selling action figure toy based off of a TV show in the 90s was Power Rangers, which played that same kind of,
which is Voltron.
which is Voltron. Yeah. At least I would agree with that. Power Rangers is very much a play on the Voltron kind of arc or trope.
Oh yeah, there wasn't enough Voltron and Voltron, so they made Power Rangers
Heck yeah.
so they could do more Voltroning.
I loved Voltron.
I always had the weirdest selection of toys like that as a kid, though. So like, I think we've talked about this. I had one He-Man. I had one He-Man. I had one Lion-O, like Thundercat. I had like 2 Transformers. I had a Voltron, but just like the head, like the black one, the black line, and then a bunch of GI Joes, and then you'd have to figure out a way, and then a Ninja Turtle later, like I had Leonardo or something. So you had to figure. Oh, and a Chuck Norris, action Chuck Norris. He'd wind his arm and his leg would kick.
Yeah, that was from Chuck Norris Action Hour.
Yeah, and so like you'd have to figure out as a kid like how we're gonna play these all together, and you kind of forgot about scale and just went to town.
Right. That's funny.
But some kids had like the whole on Castle of Grayskull, and you'd go over there and they even had that random like skunk man. He had a weird smell to him too, didn't he? It was like
He
kind of
did,
like
yes.
Stinkor.
Stinkor. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were lucky enough to see his package in the store, like he'd usually sit around because he's not very popular, and the cellophane would get all brown from the stuff just sitting inside of there.
What's funny is, who voiced him in the most recent, I think it's He-Man Retribution, or the newest He-Man show, was Jason Mewes from Clerks.
And Kevin Conroy was in there as Merman too. Like I think that was the last thing he did before he passed.
Oh man, that was and I think it was all directed or produced by Kevin Smith.
Yeah, it was.
Correct.
Yeah, but the fact that Kevin Smith had his best friend play Stinkor is so good.
Yeah, I love all those old school Kevin Smith flicks. Mallrats was like one of my faves. I mean, Clerks was obviously great. Kicked it off with like Mallrats and like Jason Lee before he did My Name Is Earl stuff. He's a pro skateboarder. He had his own like shoe, Airwalk shoe. My buddy owned his shoes.
That's crazy.
Which he skated for like Plan B, which I was a skateboarder, and it's kind of wild that now he just became an actor, much better actor than skater. But
yeah, My Name Is Earl was a fun ride for sure. So when I lived in San Diego years ago, when I was in the military, I used to, I was a bouncer at a bar called In Cahoots in Mission Valley. Right. I just moonlit there. I was stationed out that way, and I moonlit for extra money at this country western bar. And Joy Lauren Adams would come in there with her mom and sister quite regularly.
Chasing Amy fame. And...
Yep. And she would come in, and she'd always want to dance, and I was the one who would always have to dance with her, like 2-step and stuff like that.
Just terrible.
Poor guy.
It was honestly, it was not great. Because this was back when she was, she drank a lot at the time,
Oh,
and I think she was in a relationship with Vince Vaughn at the time as well. But but I was always the one that was picked because she obviously wasn't going to try to dance with just a muggle, I guess you could say, and they wanted the house security to kind of do that. So I would say I probably danced with her probably 10 times over the course of a couple of years I was stationed there and lived and working there.
let's be honest. She picked you because of your knowledge of Thunder the Barbarian lore.
I mean, I would think so, but
Back then, when you were in the military, you were jacked too, though. I mean, you were,
I was, yeah.
yoked. Did they
I
say?
was, yeah, I was swole. Yeah, but yeah, it was just interesting because some of the other people that would come into that bar, you'd be like, that's I would not have expected that. Um, like who's the actor who played the Mandarin in Iron Man, the comedic version of the Mandarin.
Oh,
He
I'm
was
gonna have to use
also
my
in
Google foo.
he was also in Ender's Game was it Ender's Game? Um, Kingsley, something Kingsley,
Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley. Yeah, he came in there 2 or 3 times while I was there, and you'd come in with a couple people, and they'd have a few drinks or whatever, and they would do a couple line dances, and then they just kind of roll out. It was
Sir Ben
interesting. Sir Ben Kingsley.
Sir Ben Kingsley came in and did a couple of lines at your bar. Line dance.
Line dancing.
He played Gandhi, didn't he?
He did play Gandhi. Yes.
Talk about range.
Yeah. I loved him in
Speaking of
Ender's
range,
Game.
did you watch Outer Range with Josh Brolin?
Yeah, it was kind of like a sci-fi western-y thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was better than I thought it'd be.
It was very like Outer Limit / Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah, ominous type
Yeah.
stuff going on.
Yeah, Black
I think
Mirror.
it's a slow burn for sure. I hear there's
Yeah.
a season 2 coming out, but it's
Nice.
hopefully it picks up a little more intensity.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I hate when you're watching them, one of the series, and you're an hour deep in some of this stuff, and like nothing happens till like the last like cliffhanger, right? And it's like,
Right.
yeah, 3 seconds before it ends, and something happens. I gotta watch the next one. They know what they're
Yep.
doing. But I just feel bad. Like, man, I just burned through. I can't do that now with a little kid running around. But it's like I just burned up 3 hours, binging in a row.
Well, if you want to watch a new show, it is binge worthy. There's only 4 episodes out. You can watch it on Hulu.
Mhm.
But Shogun.
It's subtitled,
Shogun.
right?
What's that?
Is it subtitled?
I mean, you can turn subtitles on, sure.
That is a fantastic book,
Yeah.
and it is based in no small way on historical fact, which is pretty great too.
I hear it's really great. My brother was just talking about that.
So we had one of the writers for the show come into the store.
No
So-
kidding.
Which is one of the reasons I brought it up, because this young lady came in. She lives out in L.A., but her family's all here and stuff. And we were just talking, and I was like, "So what do you do?" She goes, "Well, I'm a writer for the film industry." I'm like, "Great. Is there anything that you're working on or have worked on that I would recognize?" And she goes, "I'm currently working on the Shogun series coming out on FX." And I was like,
Get out of
I
here.
dropped an, the inappropriate word, if you will, and
Language.
where I was like, "No bleep," and she's like, "Yep." I go, "I am a huge fan. I enjoyed the original Richard Chamberlain series that came out in the 80s, or I think it was the early 80s," and she's like, "Yep, we're trying to be more true. We've used some cultural sensitivity connections to bring in to ensure that we are being extremely accurate in regards to like all sorts of stuff in regards to the show. I was like, that's amazing. And I episode 4 dropped last night, and I am in love with this show. The visual backdrop of it is just amazing. The interactions and the characters are just, I mean, they are a plus uh, presentation, and I am super excited to watch this entire series. And if you aren't watching Shogun, and obviously they are not a sponsor or Netflix or I'm sorry, FX or whatever the sponsor, I'm just a huge fan of that genre, and to see it on the screen and all the actors, because you're going to recognize a lot of the actors that are playing the different characters as far as like uh, the who will become the Shogun, the actor who will become the Shogun. You've seen them in 100 movies, if if one, and then there are some others that are absolutely like, oh shoot, they've been in. There's some Marvel characters or Marvel actors in there and stuff, and you're like, oh snap, it's great. So
I'll definitely have to give it a shot. That sounds awesome.
yeah, I'm a huge fan. All right, it is 8 o'clock. So let's give some shout outs to our sponsors. Big shout out to Gen Con TV and everybody over there that supports us and is part of the team. And if you aren't currently watching all the different programs here on Gen Con TV, make sure you hit that heart and that bell so you're following and you don't miss out on any notifications. So make sure you're following Gen Con TV here on Twitch. And if you can subscribe, use your Amazon Prime free subscription and subscribe to the channel if you can as well. Also to Army Painter, who supplies our paints, and we are now playing with the new Fanatic line, which is amazing. I know it's kind of like, is it? Because you've only used white and a little bit of black so far. Yes, it's amazing because I'm about to use some metallics and see how those play here in just a second. Also, big shout out to Game Envy, the makers of the hobby handle and the Phalanx synth brushes, which I'm using and Mark is using. And also shout out to Tabletop Gurus, Hoplite Games, and Iman, the makers of the Song of Ice and Fire miniature game that we are currently painting the War Mammoths for. So, yeah, so big shout out to all of that. And also, again, make sure that you are tracking on some of the other programs here on Gen Con TV or on Twitch. There's some amazing content creators and contributors to the channel, bringing you some very entertaining and informational content all week long, which you can see on the calendar just below the show here. If you go down to the schedule, it's funny is that we're still not on the Wednesday tracker right there, and this is season 3, but that's okay. They love us. I saw Marcus, who's one of the main producers at Adeptica, or I'm sorry, at Gamma last week, and he just rained accolades on what we're doing and really enjoys the program because it's not a traditional miniature painting show in that we're not going to sit here and talk about all the technique and all that stuff. We just want to paint with you who are getting into painting miniatures, starting your path of path of the brush, and obviously if you have questions, you can always ask them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them and possibly show you how a technique might work if it is something that is related to what we're doing. And we just want to see more people painting miniatures. And I always have found that I enjoy painting miniatures with my friends, which is why I super enjoy being able to paint with Mark and Will every week. And when we do bring on a guest, that is just like, the cherry on top to get to interact with other people that also like to paint miniatures or talk about them or even make the miniature games that we play. So expect a couple of those guests coming up in the near future. I was talking to Peter Atkinson recently, about coming on, and he has an idea of what he might want to paint, and we're gonna look at what we can do to bring him on and paint some miniatures with Peter, and that'll be amazing. And speaking of which, right after this, our show today is the Actoroki program at 9 p.m. Eastern, and where they play D&D, and then they turn it into a movie. It's super fun, and I saw a little bit of an advert for tonight's show on Facebook, and it looks like they're going to be taking a trek down a new path. So make sure you check that out after you're done watching us and hanging out with us here painting miniatures. All right, so I did the black in the eyes on that one and this one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the new Warpaint Fanatic metallic plate mail metal to do the metallic bits on this mammoth that we have not yet done, just to see how this applies and how it reacts and interacts with the model. So this should be a fun new look for us. And yeah, it's got a very, so it says it's plate mail metal, and as I put it on the plate here, it's not super like bright and shiny as some like a silver might be. It has a very almost gunmetal gray to it, which I actually prefer and like. So let's give this a little bit of an application here and see how it looks. So we're going to put it on this horn.
You always
here.
have to work so hard to dull down those silver colors.
You do.
I'm with you there.
Yeah. So this is, again, just like when I first applied that white on there, on the tusks and stuff, it's just going on real smooth, and the coverage is really nice. It's very much like melted butter, which is I know it's a weird analogy, but you can definitely feel how it's very smooth, and the application is full coverage real easily, which is amazing. So I give it an A+ score for the new metallic here.
That's good.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be like butter, you know. What movie is that from?
I don't know, but it is something I am familiar with.
Right.
Or maybe you just say it a lot. I don't know.
It's not, I want to be more original, but I'm pretty sure I watched it. If you know what that's from, please say in the chat.
Yeah.
The other analogies about things being smooth, like now butter works. We'll stick with butter.
Yeah, butter works. Yeah, this is great. So we're going to go ahead and just do all the metal bits here on this model as best we can here. And that's the other thing too, is if you're watching this and this is like your first time hanging out with us, we don't expect, and we hope that you don't expect, if you're new to the modeling and painting part of the tabletop hobby, we don't expect it to be perfect, right? We're not painting for competition. We're painting, one, for the fun of it, the enjoyment that we get from the process of the creativity of it, but also we're painting because we want to see painted miniatures on the table when we play our games, right? And so I paint for what's called tabletop ready, or 3 feet away. If it looks good at 3 feet away, I'm happy with my miniature. And because I don't play with my toys up here in my face, right? I play with them on the table 3 feet away, and I'm going to be touching them, moving them, and all that other stuff. So, I don't want, it doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to get some rub and wear on, and stuff on the model. So, that's my philosophy in miniature painting. I do not begrudge those that want to become a professional painter, or a competitive painter in regards to, like, golden demons and crystal brushes and what's the other one? The Worthy, which is the Marvel one by Atomic Mass Games, and then There's another one. Mantix is called like Death by. Uh, I don't know what it's called, but it's a good name. But and then of course most conventions have some form of painting competition as well that you can always enter in and participate in. So if that's the level of painting you want to do, that's amazing. And I really am excited to see those high level paint jobs. And I've had the benefit of being able to paint with a lot of those individuals, but that's just not what I do. I want to enjoy my hobby, get as many painted miniatures on the field, and hang out with my friends and do this. So um, if that's what you're looking for, welcome. Welcome to the Path of the Brush, because that's what we're here for. So
Well, I don't play golf. I kind of look at it like golf because you're trying to beat your own score, right?
yeah,
That's the goal. Like if you're looking at what other people did, that's not how you paint. That's not how you play, right?
right. Absolutely. But again, like I said, I do not begrudge anybody for what they want to do in the hobby. We have some amazing painters here at Hoplite. Mark and Jeff and Will are all amazing painters. So and they're not the only ones. We have some really good ones, and that are way better than me, way better than I am.
There's
And
a bunch of people on the Discord have been putting up some amazing stuff.
Oh my God, right?
Oh, yeah. Just learning every day, It's like
Mhm.
you get, like Will's saying, if you get just a little bit better or you try a different technique.
Yeah. And I think if we can for the next episode, the post Adepticon episode, let's pull some of those amazing models that people have been posting in the Discord, because there are some. I mean, there's some stuff in there. I'm just like, what? How did you do that?
And we get the added benefit of being able to see it in person. Is so much of that's lighting too. So when you get to actually get to play against that stuff, oh man,
Yeah,
that's a good day.
agreed. Yeah, even Jeff has commented on some of the folks that have been posting stuff. He's like, where are these people at? And why are they not coming into the store more often? Because they're all locals that are posting up. And I can't remember their name. I could actually look them up real quick. There's one guy whose freaking models are like, he should be competing. They're that good.
Is that Dan the Meeple Man?
I do not believe that is his name. It is. Let me see here. I mean, Dan the Meeple Man does good stuff. That Rottweiler Cerebus he just did is really good. But I want to say it's. Where's this guy's stuff at? I mean, Rottweiler's good. Chivo is killing it. There's some stuff from Jeff. Chivo. Goopy. There's so many good ones on here.
It's fun to have those people to help inspire you to be better too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes without that inspiration, you're just kind of like left of what am I going to do, right?
Right. And I think that's one of the great things about the hobby too is when you're able to sit and paint with a group of folks, you get the benefit of their talent and their insights, and you can ask those questions like, how did you get this and how did you do that? And you can be like, oh, that's I can try that. And then next thing you know, you have a new thing, a new tool in your toolbox That just makes your models pop even more. Where is this guy's stuff? Is it Skunky Bear? Is another one. It's Skunky Bear. He did like this werewolf thing early on, and this like vampire with a sword. It was just sick. So
Oh, I think I remember that guy. Yeah.
yeah. So he hasn't posted in a while. We need to get him back in here. But there's so many amazing painters doing amazing work. So
Probably got a big work in progress coming.
oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, and everybody's like brushes are up and ready for Adepticon. Like
Yep.
last minute stuff.
Yeah, Adepticon's gonna be a really fun and interesting show. I'm actually teaching a class. I think I already mentioned it, but it's the crazy thing about it is it's a 3-hour long class, and
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
yikes.
That's good though. You can get into a little everything. Is it intro or is it intermediate?
It's absolutely an intro class. I think we're going to be painting miniatures for the game The Other Side, but
Okay, fun.
those miniatures can be used in Malifaux as well. Because I'm doing a class for Weird, and it's literally just a hobby hangout, is what we're calling it. Come paint with me for some reason, and we'll just hang out. We'll talk about maple syrup and Thundar the Barbarian and all the things like we do here, just with a new group of friends. So
I mean, 3 hours is sizable. You'll be able to get into to priming techniques
yeah, we'll be able to talk about some stuff to include even like
base coding,
object
speed painting.
Yeah, object source lighting, all that.
Great.
Yeah.
What day is that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
What time?
I don't remember.
We'll be in the middle of our team event at that time, I think.
Yeah, probably so.
We'll be in the most uncool spot ever. Is just like the very dingy, dark hall. It'll be a great time.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But you guys will crush it like you did last year. So
come on by and say hi to us. We'll be playing Age of Sigmar in the team event.
Yeah, we're going to be wearing what we got? Black and yellow bowling shirts with the Cobra Kai Gaming Dojo. Jeff made a logo. It was actually previous to Cobra Kai, the show that just popped out. He was, that was influential movie back in the 80s and all of Karate Kid, and did his own rendition of a little logo with some dueling snake eyes and some dice, and
nice.
we got some bowling shirts made, so we're gonna look like some Big Lebowski fellas running around there.
That's awesome. So if anybody here watching is going to be at Adepticon next week, go check them out. And if you see us walking around or hanging out, say hi.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a blast. I did not realize how much I enjoyed that show compared to some other shows that I go to, because I had never been to it before last year. And I went and I was like, I know all the vendors. That's a good thing. I enjoy a lot of the types of games that are being represented here. And the food is really good around Schaumburg. So
I was informed that there's a lot of really good ramen places nearby that we didn't get to check out. But that's always a big deal for me.
Okay. Good to know.
I guess there's a large, like many years ago, Schaumburg was kind of founded by a large Japanese immigrant community, and it had an impact.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was all news to me.
Yeah, very cool. And for a smaller convention, it's pretty good in that I think they have an attendance of around 9,000 to 10,000. But statistically, It's one of the best shows for the vendors because apparently, again, I can't verify it by like here's where you can go and find this information. This is from me just talking to people that work at the show. The event is apparently the dollar spend per attendee is almost $1,000 per attendee in regards to what they're going to value as far as product and stuff. So if you're a vendor there, you're crushing it. Especially if you have the game that everybody's like chasing this year.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
always excited
games-
between rounds to go check out the vendor hall.
Yep.
Yeah, wargaming is definitely an investment. You know.
Yeah.
For sure.
I had to pace myself, and because there was stuff at the Adepticon hall that I couldn't get like off the shelf at home. There was
Right.
like I can get models, but some of the paints there, like the Scale 75 metallics,
hmm
really good.
Which is to say, they are a great tool to a toolbox, in addition to your War Paint Fanatic paint.
True, yeah. Yeah, War Paint wasn't out last year, so I
That's
didn't
right.
see
The,
that.
the Fanatic line was not out last year. That's true. I'm going to try this fur brown now. See how it goes on and looks. There's some spots where I need to get some touch-ups on here because I did use a speed paint when I initially put the fur on here. So now it's just going through, and I want to use this as a touch-up piece around the model and find some spots that need a little love.
Are you using that for highlights?
I'm actually just using it to do some edging, like along this horn here, or this piece of ivory on this head here, because there's some edging that was where I overpainted that white a little bit. So if I can just do a little bit of a touch up there, and then I'm going to try the new washes, like the strong tone and strong shades and such. Oop. There's a tiny little mistake.
You know, with those, I've always found if I catch it fast enough, get the brush really wet, and I can clean it off.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
try and soak it up like a sponge.
Yep. That's exactly what I just did.
Done that so many times. See, guys,
Yeah.
even paint has an eraser.
Correct. All right. Use this to do the banding bits on these spears. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. There we go.
See, since last we got together, I got out and did a tournament for Conquest with some local folks at Far Harbor, and that was a good time.
Nice. Far Harbor is another store here in Michigan, located over in the Grand Rapids area on the western side of the state. And how did that go?
Well, I think I always win if I go there because I get to pet the dog. They have a wonderful store dog named Ash. I went 1 and 2, so it could have gone better. It was sometimes you just got to test a list in a tournament and find out if your theory is correct, and mine was not.
What faction did you play?
I played Spires, and I went with a whole lot of force-grown drones and a lot of bows and arrows and whatnot, and nobody wanted to deal with bows and arrows.
All right. But you said you went 2 and 1?
I went 1 and 2. I
and
won
2.
1, lost 2.
Okay. All right.
But I had a blast. Always a good time.
Perfect. Nice. All right. Kind of feel like I want to try another. Let's see what kind of grays we've got here in the. We got ash gray. We'll give that one a shot because I want to use like this ash gray as a stone color for the spearheads on these long spears here, so it has more of a stone vibe.
I was wondering if those were supposed to be obsidian, like dragon glass,
Ooh, yeah.
or like flint
Yeah.
arrowheads, whatever.
That's the dragon glass is a great idea.
It is a great idea. I did mine metallic.
All right. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll do a base of this gray, and then maybe I'll take that black and do some edging, so it does give it more of a dragon glass
Ooh.
vibe. Yeah, but I need to mess with that metallic a little bit more. On that piece, and on these bits over here. So here we go. Yeah, the metallics are really smooth. I'm not upset with this at all.
Oh, I'm looking forward to trying those out.
Yeah.
Do they have a good bronze? I'm a sucker for a good bronze.
I've got greedy gold weapon bronze. Yep,
Nice.
sure do. I probably should use some bronze on here as a off metallic because I feel like they probably had more of a Bronze Age metallic base in regards to some of the stuff they were making for more utilitarian aspects instead of the metal, the silver or the steel look. Because I can't think of what kind of technologies that they would have in the north because beyond the wall, right? Because it's just tribal situations up there, so I'm guessing there's probably not a lot of like true forges, right?
It'll be oral traditions, right?
Yeah. And then because even in the show and in the books they talk about how big of a difference the weapons are between castle forged weapons versus non-castle forged or even just regional bits. And I feel like that the free folks definitely doesn't have access to castle forged weapons and or the ability to put anything to forge that would even be remotely close to that. So there probably would have been a more of a bronze esque metal work, I guess. What do you
That's
guys
one
think?
thing I love. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just was going to ask what do you guys think about that?
Oh, I
I
agree
think
with
that's
you. Yeah.
authentic. I concur.
All right.
One thing I love when you're painting the models too is when you start thinking about that, like what are the materials and how to and if you got to go like high fantasy or low, like
Yeah.
this is a magical metal. Well, I don't want to do mithril, so I got to make something up. What color is it going to be and why?
Yeah, exactly. It's wild. And that's how my brain kind of goes or thinks when I'm thinking about this kind of stuff. Like when I'm working on a D&D miniature or anything like that, I start thinking about the story behind the character or the creature. and how that would appear on the model, right? How it would be represented best, and yeah,
That's what's interesting. Like that you sometimes get in wargaming, sometimes you don't. So like I'm not a huge lore guy when it comes to wargaming.
okay,
At least the war games that I've played. Like I can enjoy it and I try to make it factual, but I'm not reading all the novels. But a couple of the guys in our kind of gaming group are really into it. Like we got cornered, I would dare say, to talk about 4 novels that I've not read. And we went deep, and it was kind of impressive, like how much like lore and knowledge that this person had.
are you
But
talking
not
about in
knowing
regards to? Is that in regards to like 40K or Age of
this was
Sigmar?
Age of Sigmar, yeah.
Yeah,
And then, but it was just there was a lot. There was a lot of lore going on there. I mean, they've
yeah,
got extensive library, very expansive.
yeah. I mean, the lore is deep on a lot of games, especially the 40K side of it. Um, and that's one of the things that I'm finding now that I having the store is when it comes to these different war games or whatever that do have lore, hearing the stories and the stuff about the different factions and the different Primarchs and all this other stuff, and how they and where they land and sit in the lore of the game, it makes the game more approachable for me because I am more of a narrative individual.
Hmm.
I like the story of a thing, and so like with the the whole Song of Ice and Fire, there's a lot of good book content and lore through that makes this a very fun and entertaining game for me because I can when someone says, "Yep, I have Shaggy Dog on the field," I'm like, "Nice. I know that character. I know some fun stuff about Shaggy Dog or like Rob Stark's dog, Direwolf, or just Rob Stark. It's like, oh, that's cool. He's gonna die at the Red Wedding. Sweet, you know.
Yeah, Song of Fire and Ice is definitely one of those. It's hand in hand. I
Yeah,
feel like not everyone is. Um, it should be. I mean, I should be immersed more, and it definitely the more you get into it, and you read your source book and stuff. Um, but it's tough because the rule sets are difficult sometimes because you have so much just in your book alone, right?
yeah.
To learn like the other guy's army, unless you're playing multiple armies, because sometimes you go against a opponent and they'll like ramble off all their rules, right? They know them all, and
Hmm.
you're like, I'm gonna have to trust you on this because there's no way I'm remembering all my rules plus all your rules. Um,
Right.
and what was your name again? Yeah, that's half the
That's
fun.
true. That's true.
It could be challenging to get past all the crunch so you can enjoy the fluff.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. That's a good way to say it.
Spitting fact.
And
I
this
do
war
love
game
a good
now is
little
brought to you by
splat.
Will.
Sorry, what was that, Mark?
Said this wargaming knowledge brought to you by Will. Little gold star.
All right. I'm gonna put a little bit more dry brushing on the edges of the fur on this one with some white. There we go. There we go.
Oh, I did watch a new show that we should probably bring up. Did you guys watch The Boys? Right?
Yep,
I
Did you
have
watch
not yet.
Gen V?
I did. Yeah,
That was actually I'm into it right now. It's actually turning out better than I thought it was going to be.
it's very interesting
Yeah,
for sure, and how they might interact with the boys in the next season of the boys. Because I feel like that's what some of those characters are going to be doing is, um, especially the girl that can manipulate blood.
yeah.
Yeah, she's a little too tough, I think. I enjoyed the young lady that could shrink. He
A
was,
little cricket or whatever.
yeah, cricket. Yeah.
I thought bending was forbidden.
In the Avatar sphere for sure. But this young lady can definitely bend blood, and it's crazy. All right, there we go. All right, now on the second one here, I'm gonna do. I feel like I want to do a strong tone or a dark tone.
Every time I hear strong tone, I always think of a scary movie for obvious reasons.
Okay.
You know, grab the
I
strong
don't.
tone. Never mind.
Oh, grab my strong hand.
You're right.
Yeah. Nice. All right. We're gonna give that strong, that dark tone a little brush over the metallics here. Yeah. Yeah, not bad. I don't feel like I don't know how much of a formula change they did on the tones. But yeah, this is looking and doing some pretty good stuff. Nothing like too different or new compared to what the actual acrylic colors are doing. So, but it still does what it does. Gives you a little bit more of a shadowed depth to the areas you're using it. So, exactly what I wanted to do. So, perfection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it when a plan comes together.
Ah, yes. Man, that's a throwback phrase.
Little Hannibal action.
Yeah, man.
Still one of the best theme songs of all time.
Oh yeah. Dun, 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 dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun, dun.
dun, 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 dun. So good.
Yeah, they
Put
just
that
like
on while you're in the shower, and you're ready for the day.
Right?
the best is when they would do the building dun, 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 and they'd be built. They'd have
Oh, the
some lights and
montage.
road flares, and next thing you know, they strap them to the van or a jeep, and they're just now they're missiles. Like
Right. Yeah, they MacGyver up some sort of vehicle.
I was just gonna say MacGyver up with a piece of chewing gum, old rubber band, and and a
Yeah.
piece of tinfoil or something.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, they got a military grade ATV with
Yeah.
rockets and machine guns. It's like, what? How'd they do that?
And nobody
know?
dies. Amazingly enough, everybody's
Right.
shooting these AKs, and
Mhm. They get blown out
nobody
of the vehicle. They land in a pile of hay. You know,
does a
so good.
backflip.
It's so good.
Just wholesome.
Yeah. Television was different,
We watched that as a family. That was like no joke.
right? I
I could
thought
watch
one of
that, but then He-Man though. Sometimes Mom was like, "Nah, it's a little too scary." You know what I mean? But A-Team, that's cool.
18, well, she wasn't wrong. 18 was cool. I thought it was interesting is in the first episode or the pilot episode of the A-Team, Mr. T actually gets his butt whooped by like
Really?
a big like Hispanic Latino guy in a bar down in like Costa Rica or Nicaragua or someplace like that. And the guy like stands like a foot and a half taller than Mr. T and like kicks him through a door. And it's like, dang. But that made me really respect the character of B.A. Baracus because it meant that he could be he's the muscle, but there's
other
always a
bigger
bigger
ones.
fish. There's always a bigger fish. Yeah. And that they played on that was really cool. All right. So those two guys right there are looking pretty good. I just need to base them, in my opinion, and call them ready to put on table and trample over all the opponents who come at me because that's what I do
Start
with
stomping.
these. Yeah, these war mammoths are all about trampling and just doing all that kind of cool stuff to the baddies because everybody else is a baddie. The free folk are the only truly free folk. All right.
Some of the stuff I did on here, I just did highlights in orange with the very fine brush, you know,
Oh yeah, that
bring out
looks
the
great.
highlights, and then did the highlights on the bone and went
Mhm.
back and kind of cleaned up where the leather straps were a little bit there.
What did you do on the nails on the like the feet?
Oh
What
yeah,
colors?
I ended up doing like kind of a bone white, and then I did kind of a
Yeah,
green wash on
because I
top,
just
and then
realized I didn't get those. So that maybe
twinkle toes,
paint.
remember? And then I did a little
Right.
yellowing, went back with just like a little yellowing around like the
Mhm.
toe bed or whatever. So
Okay.
that's kind of like what I did. But the little highlights of the hairs, I kind of am thinking I want to hit it with like a matte varnish or something because there's shiny areas, so some people
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yeah.
But it might be neat to hit it with a matte varnish.
I'm gonna try this Dorado skin. It's got this like tannish lightness to it. I'm gonna use that as the nails and see how that
Dorado.
looks. Dorado. Yes.
And see if I get the lighting here a little bit better. That way. And that way. There we go.
Oh yeah.
There. Get them in frame there. I'll figure it out one of these days.
I like what you do with the leather there.
Yeah, that's that yellow. I thought that I
Yeah.
really like that tip from Rich.
Yeah, it looks great. There we go.
It's good stuff.
Great. A little bit. Yeah, this works.
On the subject of pilots from the 80s, since you guys talked about MacGyver, I don't know if you guys have seen the pilot for MacGyver, but in it, he actually shot a gun.
Really?
Yeah, it's the only time he ever did. And they reverse course on that. Obviously, that's what he's not about.
Right. Have you seen that there's a movie remake coming out based on Fall Guy?
Oh really?
Yeah, if you remember the show, that was what
Mhm.
I think it was Lee Majors that played the Fall Guy. Was that right?
Oh,
Was he the same as the $6 Million Man?
It absolutely is.
I don't
But
think I got to see that.
in this new remake, it's Ryan Gosling as the Fall
Oh, that's
Guy.
great. So he's
Yeah.
a stunt man, right, in the movies, but he's
Yep.
also like
Yeah, like a crime fighter of some sort, or
yeah. How
uh,
does he get into trouble all the time? You know, saves
yeah,
people. Yeah, he's
he
a hero.
seems to get in trouble all the time. Yeah, like he supplements his income as a PI or something. Something crazy. All right.
Yeah,
The shows
why
would be
are
really
like,
boring if they didn't get in trouble all the time.
yeah, that's true, right? But why is like the hard boiled private investigator like such a cool thing? You know, I was like that.
Yeah, I actually never understood it.
You don't like it?
'Cause, hey, I don't mind it. It's a interesting trope and can be very entertaining if done right.
Did you ever read the Dresden Files?
I have.
I'm into the first one right now.
Okay. What do you
But
think of it?
I feel like it's showing its age slightly,
Yeah.
but it's good. I mean, there's good things about it. Whatever, it's a modern, fantasy type
Mhm.
thing. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Yeah, these painting these nails is very very necessary because it definitely pops the foot.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it just looks like a
Shaggy
like
boot.
a dead thumb.
I was actually looking for kind of the answer on that hard-boiled detective thing, and I found like if you want to appreciate it, you got to go back to Bogart.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's like get some deep cuts, and then like now you understand what everybody was trying to reach for and not always grasp.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry that I'm not able to put this on the overhead because I need to be able to see where I'm painting here. But I'll show you guys here in a sec. The toenails. All right, just a couple more. Yep. So I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, that
But
looks way better.
yeah, like I said, it definitely gives a pop to it and doesn't make it look so bland. So yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, so we're getting close to the end of the show, and for everybody that's been hanging out, all 15 of you, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. Even though you may not chat with us, we know you're watching, and we do appreciate it. Because what I'm guessing is, if you're hanging out with us, you're painting miniatures, and it's hard to paint and type at the same time. So I totally get it.
That's true.
I apologize again for my voice today. Hopefully, when we come back after Adepticon, it'll all be cleared up and I can do my fun radio voice and Thunder the Barbarian uh, shout out again where it's more appropriate. Big thank you to Mark and Will, who always help come and make us look so much better here on the program. And shout out to Gen Con TV, Hoplite Games, Tabletop Gurus, Thunderforge Studios, Hobby Handle, Game Envy, and Simon Games, and of course, our exclusive paint partner in, the Army Painter with their new War Paint Fanatics, which will be available in all other stores around the 20th of March. So go to your friendly local game store, find out if they're going to have it on the shelf, and get some of the new Fanatic paint on your in your toolbox, and tell us what you think about it as you begin and continue your path here with the brush. And make sure you watch Shogun.
Or you can just go to Hoplite and get some now.
That's true. Or you can, if you're in local here in the Lansing, Michigan area, you can come to Hoplite Games. We actually have the full Fanatic line on the shelf ready for you to add to your toolbox. So yeah, come on down and check it out. Up next or after this show is going to be Actoroki in about 15-20 minutes. And that's about it for today's show. I appreciate everybody. And until next time, I'm your host, Rick, here at Path of the Brush. And we'll see you at your friendly local game store.